can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. I'm delighted to be joined by Ra Hokum, and we're in preview mode. Looking at the fight happening this weekend in Nottingham, super featherweight clash between Leigh Wood and Anthony Cacace. As I said, in Nottingham, Saturday the 10th of May. Fight I'm really looking forward to. Leigh Wood's first fight in 18 months, whatever it is, maybe even longer. First fight up at super featherweight. Of course, Anto Cacace's first fight, second fight, sorry, since vacating the IBF belt. He's got wins recently over the likes of Joe Cordina, Josh Warrington, and yeah, perhaps one of the best 130-pound fighters in the world. And that is one I may ask you later, Rob. But first and foremost, as I said, Leigh Wood, Anto Cacace. Let me know how you think this fight plays out on Saturday night, Rob.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've both got a common opponent. Their most recent opponents are a common opponent in Josh Warrington, and arguably Leigh dealt with Warrington more conclusively, but I don't think you can read into that much at all. 2 years, like you said, nearly 2 years of inactivity. What's the reasons being? Is it injuries? If it is, does not bode well. His first fight back, going straight in with a top level guy at a new weight. Will his stamina, will his punching power hold out, and how does his own punch resistance hold up? They're both the same age, 36, but despite that, I just think Anto is the fresher fighter because he's had less wars. He's had sort of the bigger gaps. Not a fighter that's ever seemed to have relied on, a particular physical trait. Although he does have some pretty impressive traits. At super featherweight, he's a huge guy. Most people who sparred with him say that he can really hit. So his record is deceptive in terms of the number of knockouts he's got. I just think the momentum is with Cacace, especially someone who's sort of done it the hard way, waited so long to get those big opportunities to finally have got them. I think he's going to be, like I said, the fresher fighter and probably the more focused and want it more at this point. Like I said, it seems almost strange to say that about a 36-year-old, but I do think Leigh Wood might be a lot more weary now in his career. Recent fights have those titanic struggles with guys like Lara. It almost feels like a bit of a final cash out for him, having it in his home turf in Nottingham. So I think Leigh will struggle, to move through the gears at the newer weight to put a dent in Cacace, and I think Cacace will fight a sensible fight and box his way to a clear points decision in this.
Interesting, very, very interesting. Right, I think there's a few things there. I mean, when someone's been out of the ring for so long, it's almost impossible to predict how they're going to perform. So, like on the surface, I'd say very few people would be backing Leigh Wood to win this. Just on recent fights, especially when you look at since Leigh Wood's last fight, that's really been when Anto Cacace's gone up to here. His career is elevated. Basically since the last time Leigh Wood fought. So on that, on recency, you have to go with Cacace, I think. But at the same time, it's one of them, and I suppose it is maybe a bit cliche, but like, how many times have people written off Leigh Wood, and he's just pulled it out of the bag when he's needed to? Like, even going back to the Conlon fight, you look the Warrington one, he lost nearly every round before stopping him. Like, yeah, he lost the first Lara fight, but the second one again, people thought he was going to get knocked out again, and he outboxed him with ease. Kind of look at things that run of fights, and you're like, yeah, you can't really write off Leigh Wood. But as I said, in saying that, you, you can't really with reason make a huge case for him, in my opinion, just because we haven't seen him in so long. And already at what, he was 34 the last time he fought, or 35 or whatever it is, and another 18 months, nearly 2 years out of the ring. You're going to be rusty, aren't you? And yeah, father time. is undefeated, as we well know. And in this space of time, will it have caught up with Leigh Wood? Perhaps, perhaps not. I suppose we'll find out on Saturday night. But yeah, very interesting, very interesting. A couple of questions I want to ask you before we round off, Ra. Just super featherweight landscape, as you mentioned. Cacace is a massive super feather. Not does not hold the belt anymore, of course. Having vacated that IBF title. But where do you kind of rank him at super featherweight? Do you think he's, top three, top five, number one? Because there are quite a few decent fighters, maybe not worldwide household names, so to speak, at 130. But where do you kind of see the landscape at super featherweight right now?
Yeah, it's an odd division. No names spring out. Nobody's actually done anything, I guess, to sort of stake a claim conclusively. Maybe Navarrete, but I mean, I wonder is Navarrete's rep based more on the fact that he's a multi-weight world champion rather than what he's specifically done at super featherweight. I think there might be an element of that. I think Cacace would be close to 50-50 with any of the other belt holders if they were to fight now. But my concern is, again, he's 36. Maybe he's only got a couple of big fights left in him, and obviously one of them's next week against Leigh Wood. So it's a case of by the time he fights them, will he then be on the slide? Because a lot of these guys are sort of, they're young, they're peaking. Guys like Ray Ford's coming up there. Shaki Foster's still probably in his prime. I mean, the Japanese guy Rikishi, I'm just checking box rate. They rank him as the number one, but he's fighting Nunes, who, of course, is it fair to say Cacace ducked him? By my definition of a duck, no, because I think if a fighter takes an alternative fight for more money, I don't class that as a duck because it's prize fighting. That's what all of these guys are in the game for. So I wouldn't class that as a duck. But yeah, I think I would have to say the winner of Rikishi against Nunes, I would class them as the number one, but it's not by any means conclusive. It'd be great to see some sort of round robin series of unifications, but I don't see Anto really being involved in that because, like I said, at 36, he's probably just looking for his last few paydays to have made his career worthwhile. Because as I mentioned, he has been in it a long time, and it's taken all this time for him to sort of get to those big fights. So I think he'll want to maximize his earnings, and it won't be against any of those guys. None of them are big names or big draws. So it's unfortunate. We probably will never see him in those sort of fights. But yeah, it's if he can go out with a few big paydays, I certainly wouldn't begrudge him that.
For sure, for sure. I think that's. I suppose you could probably say the same thing about Leigh Wood as well. Like, no matter who wins this, they're both in the latter stages of the career, and they're just going to want to both make as much money as possible. And I totally understand that. As you mentioned, if Pache wins this, for example, which you and I are both predicting he will, you know, as you said, where's the household name to fight at 130? Would he step up and try and chase one of the huge names at lightweight? Or I don't know. We don't. But as I said, I don't see him, going back and fighting, as you mentioned, the Rikishis of this world and the Nunez's, your Cortez, Ray Fords. I don't see that happening. I think it'll be big names and whoever pays him the most money. As you correctly stated. Rod, just before we finish, really quickly, I haven't seen him for so long, Leigh Wood. If this fight is in Nottingham, but if he were to lose, would you like to see him bow out of the sport?
Yeah, I think it'd be the right time because I mean, where's he going to go? There's not going to be another big fight available for him. The best he'll get is paid to be a gatekeeper for some young upcoming hotshot. No one wants to see a fine servant of the sport be reduced to that. So I think it would be the perfect time for him to bow out, especially if he can go out on on his shield, as it were, which I'm sure he will do. Fighting in front of home fans. So yeah, I'd like to see him bow out if he loses.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree. I mean, obviously, if he wins, that won't be the case. But and it's no disgrace as well. I'm not sitting here. Who are we to retire any man? That we're not saying that, but like it's been a phenomenal career. He's probably achieved far more than he thought he ever would. And even from a fan's perspective, after watching him in the what was that tournament called again? The where he got beat by who was it? He got beat by Jazza Dickens. In
Mhm.
that tournament. Golden contract. That's what I was talking. That's what I'm talking about. When he lost that, if you've said then, oh yeah, he's going to lose this, but then he's going on to beat Kanju, become world champion, have all these big fights, make this money, you would have said, couldn't see that happening at that stage, but he has. He's had a wonderful career. He's probably made a lot of money. I'm sure he's making a lot of money on Saturday night as well. So if it was his decision to hang up the gloves, I wouldn't begrudge him that. Totally agree with you, Ra. Ra, thanks very much, as always, for jumping on. Always appreciate you coming on the channel and giving what's your opinions and expert analysis. So yeah, I appreciate that, Ra. And guys, if you're watching, let us know in the comments your thoughts. If you're not doing so already, as well, hit that subscribe button and like this video too. Ra, thanks very much for joining me. Speak to you again soon.